Hello there, Stanley Carr here. I love collecting music and sports memorabilia. Want to know where you can find some? I'll tell you. Go to oldglory.com. This website features one-of-a-kind apparel from your favorite sports teams and musical artists. And I can help you get 15% off of all items. Use the code WWH135. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show, and with me right now I've got a very special guest. He is a rising independent wrestler. I'm pleased to welcome the one and only Perky Will has joined the show. Welcome, Perky Will.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. So, talk to me about your childhood and upbringing.
So wrestling has always been a big part of my life. My dad recently passed away a couple of years ago, kind of suddenly. So it means a lot to me wrestling wise. Like 95, 96 is when I first got into wrestling. I wasn't technically supposed to watch it, but I kind of snuck watching it one night. I was supposed to be going to bed. It was like 95, 96. My dad was watching wrestling, and I snuck behind the couch and was kind of peeking and watching. And distinctly remember it because it was like around when Austin was just getting hot. So Stone Cold Steve Austin is one of my favorites. But I was peeking around, kind of watching, and he caught me, and I was like, crap. And then he was like, "You want to watch?" And I was like, "Can I?" And he was like, "Of course." And that's where it's gone from there. So
were your parents like, they just told you you're not allowed to watch wrestling?
Yeah, it was like, kind of like violence, like especially in the Attitude Era too, because, as a kid, you technically shouldn't have been watching some of this stuff. But it was one of those like, watch this, but don't do this. And I was like, okay, deal. So it helped, like, I snuck and watched it. And I think my mom was already in bed. My dad was up late watching it. And he was like, well, come on. And I was like, so it was a big thing for me then.
Yeah, it's like it was very like shock value, back then.
Oh, yeah.
Because you saw so much stuff you could not get away with now, and it's like,
oh,
ooh,
yeah.
Wow, you go back and watch them, like Nation of Domination, DX, Stone
DX,
Cold,
yeah.
just like all these different characters.
The lady matches, like they couldn't get away with that stuff today. No way.
No.
Like
No.
if like I've seen people talk about like bring the Attitude Era back. There's no way they get away with it today. Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, it was a part of pop culture, but like culture was just different 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not
for sure.
It's different today where, we're very, sensitive and not really, we're more
the world
open.
Has changed.
The world has definitely changed. It's definitely a far cry from how it was close to 30 years ago. It's crazy though, because that's a boom period where people are still to this day reminiscing and talking about all these different moments. And still you could go on WWE on YouTube and you could find all the different matches and moments, and you see so many people in the comments section going, I remember when I watched this live.
Yeah. A lot of it I remember, like, because I'm how old am I? 34. Sorry, I had to think of how old I was. But like the Attitude Era was a big I've lived through, it's crazy to think about this because, I feel old now, but like I've lived through a lot of these different generations of, wrestling, like the Ruthless Aggression Era. Like I remember that, like that Cena was a big part of my life, like if we want to talk about his retirement, that was a big part of my childhood.
Yeah.
And I've gotten into arguments with people that are like, I hate Cena. Like, no matter how much you hate Cena or like Cena, he's had a part in your life at some point. There's no way you can argue that he didn't.
No, I go back and I look at some of the moments, as a kid, and I started watching. I mean, He was like, I took like a break from wrestling for a few years. I started watching like at the tail end of the Attitude Era, but when I started watching again, like literally like the first person I remember watching on my screen was John Cena, and he
Oh
was
yeah,
U.S. champion, had just won the belt at WrestleMania.
yeah, dude. Cena's. I mean, if now we're on Cena, but like he's had a big impact. Like he's got to be on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Like he's just had an impact. Like whether you like him or not, like his story is good. How he almost got fired and like found his opportunity and he rolled with it and then he became the guy and he still is the guy. I mean, retired or not, like Cena's the man, dude.
Well, and I think it's also too like the messages that like the never give up,
Yeah.
like the superhero kind of aspect
Hmm.
to him as well. I think that's something that I feel like resonates with a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially people that grew up watching him.
Hmm. And I guess I'm a softie, but like, like the stuff he does for kids, like he was number one with the Make a Wishes and stuff like that. Like that's really cool. Like to take time out of, he's got a hectic schedule. There's no way he's got free time at all. But for him to make free time for Make a Wish kids and like to visit them and go see them, like that's just cool. That's cool to me.
It just really makes for an incredible story, you when you see,
Yeah.
the work that he's done
Hmm.
and paying it forward. And um so Stone Cold was one of your favorites.
Hmm.
John Cena was a part of your childhood as well, like getting to
Yeah.
watch him. Who else would you say you were inspired by growing up as far as, being a wrestler and wanting to get into the business?
Dusty Rhodes for sure. I really loved Dusty's pizzazz and how different he was, like, especially for his era. Like, a lot of the stuff he got away with, like, he was a big guy. Like, I'm not like a big guy, but like, Dusty got away with a lot. And, WWE back then was like, they weren't big on big guys. Like, they wanted a body. But Dusty, just his pizzazz, his like promos, the way he carried himself, humble, a good story, stuff like that. Dusty's a big one. This is always a hard question. I really like Punk. Punk's got a good story to me. I don't know why. Um, a lot of my wrestling moves have been borrowed from Punk. um, Trying to think of like a Mount Rushmore. I really like Jeff Hardy. I was never a high flyer. I top rope. That's as far as I'll go. But Jeff Hardy is a big one. I just liked his energy. That's a big thing. I'm fond of his energy. That's what I always try to bring to my matches or to the shows. Like I'm always big on energy.
Yeah, I think that energy is just so important when you go to a wrestling show because the crowds are like so involved. Like when you go
Hmm.
to an independent show or a WWE show, that is the lifeblood of the event is the
Yeah,
crowd, the fans. They are
yeah.
so invested.
I feel like energy like is number one from curtain to curtain. Bring that energy. Always tell the story, from curtain to curtain. My biggest thing was like, and that like now I'm not wrestling right now because I'm on injury, but like a couple of the guys that are getting into the business, they come out and um they come out and the crowd's not into them, but they're bringing the energy, and I'm like, just keep the energy up, and they always get brought down in a little in a sense, and I'm like, don't discourage yourself for that. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes the crowd's just not into it that night, but just keep bringing your energy. As long as you keep bringing it, they'll follow it. Like I've had it where I've come out before and tried to get the crowd hype and they're just not feeling it, but I keep it up. Hopefully by the end of the match they're there, but sometimes it's hard.
What would you say has been the largest amount of people you've wrestled in front of?
Um about 3,000 ish. Like
Okay.
I've not done super huge shows. I'm just a small independent wrestler here in West Tennessee. We had a um uh about, I would say 4,000 honestly. We had a ballpark show, I forgot. We have a uh minor league baseball team here. We had a Jerry Lawler 50th anniversary. We're bit the West Tennessee's big on Jerry Lawler, so he was our main attraction at a lot of the shows we held. We had a great promoter, Bert Prentice. I don't know if you've ever heard that name.
Yes.
Bert Prentice is one that broke me into the business. He took a chance on me, and I rode with it. And we had a Lawler 50th anniversary show at the ballpark. I was in a tag team at the time, and we were in a battle royal. And we got top 5 and so on and so forth. But then we had a um another show the next year. It was another big show we had at Omen Arena, which is here in town. There was about 3,500 there, and that's the night I won my first title. We won our tag titles, and that was a huge moment. And that was recently after my dad passed away, so it was kind of emotional for many reasons.
Yeah, definitely a feel good moment,
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, at what age did you know you wanted to be in the wrestling industry?
Oh man, dude, I got in super late. I've only been in for 5 years. So, all right, so here's kind of my story. So, living life regular as a retail worker kind of thing. I was married at the time, and me and my ex-wife at the time decided we got a divorce because we were better off as friends. Moved into an apartment by myself, just living by myself, just being me. And I met my best friend in the business, who ended up becoming my tag partner at the store I was working at. He came in, and we just got to talking, and I was like, man, you look different now, or something like that. And because he had to show his ID for something he was buying. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't like drugs or anything like that. I don't remember. And I was like, man, you look different now. And he was like, well, I lost so much weight and became a professional wrestler. And my ears perked up. And I was like, how's somebody get into that? And he told me where they were wrestling here in town. And he was like, you should come out and watch. And I was like, bet. I didn't know it was running. And I went to the show, and it was USA Championship Wrestling is where we were he was wrestling at the time. And I went to the show, and after the show, I was like, how do you train? And he was like, let me talk to Bert, and then I'll get back to you. And he talked to Bert, got back to me, and he was like, meet me here at this date. So time. So I met him up there. We started training. I found out I wasn't terrible at it. It was one of those things like they were gonna bump me a lot, hit the ring, see how I liked it, see if I came back. I did. I had nothing better to do. I was I always say this, I was at a dark moment, but I wasn't like where I was gonna, every time I tell people I was at a dark point in my life, I always have to lead with, I wasn't like gonna end it or anything, like that. Like, I don't mean to be so blunt, but every time I say I'm at a dark point in my life, they're always like, oh, and I have to, touch on that. But like, I was just at I don't know what to do moment. And so that's when wrestling became a big part of my life. I trained 3 times a week. After that, I started working my first shows after a couple months, and I was really good. The crowd loved me. I'm a major baby face, so like had the baby face pops, like the baby face love. And I still have that. Like I've never been heel, always baby face. It's just my attitude. I couldn't be heel. I would I would smile too much.
When your influences are guys like Cena and Jeff
Oh
Hardy
yeah.
and Dusty and Austin and all these different people that have basically been at one point or another the faces of the company or top
Yeah.
stars, it's hard not to want
Right.
to go the other way.
And that's my energy too, is like positive and good vibes, like tie-dye, like that's what I rocked. And I still rock tie-dye. But like it's just I don't think I could ever be a heel. But yeah, so wrestling, and then so we were setting up for a big show at Omen. We had another big show we had at Omen. And then my dad kind of suddenly passed away, and that was a huge strike in my like knife in the heart kind of thing. Like it was so sudden, like we didn't expect it. I'm the only child, so I'm close to both of my parents. Like they were my best friends growing up, and still my best friends as adults. But that hit, so really it went into I went into my depression and anxiety really like a lot worse. And that's why I'm so supportive on mental health. Like no matter where you are in life, you're always loved. And I found that out really well when this happened. I found out who my friends are, who's there for you, who's not, kind of thing. And the people who weren't there, I don't hold anything against them, kind of thing. Like I'm not one to hold grudges. Like I'm too good on positive energy, good vibes, and all that. So like I don't hold grudges. But like, so my dad passed away, so I went through depression and from that because I was still, even though me and my ex-wife got divorced, it still hurt. Nobody wants to get a divorce. When you get married, you think you're going to be with this person forever, kind of thing. But we ended up being better off as friends. But at first, I didn't know that. At first, it really hurt. I went through major depression there. And then I got into wrestling. That kind of evened it out. Then my dad passed away. And then that made the depression worse. And um, I was still wrestling. It was just harder. Because he was I would honestly say he was probably my number one fan, even though he couldn't come to a lot of shows, but we talked about it. So yeah.
That's so hard, when you come from a family, a love family, and
Mhm.
you see them, you're not around them as much, or you start to see them kind of,
Yeah.
on the decline. It's like when you see them go through this,
Hmm.
uh, it's very very hard because you don't know how much longer they're going to be around,
Right.
and you want to take every moment that you possibly can to be around them as much as possible,
Oh yeah.
and know that they're going to be
Cherish
loved no
every
matter
moment for
what.
sure.
Cherish it.
Cherish. Yep. So like my dad, so it was weird because like uh my dad would call me early in the mornings on my way to work because he woke up early. So like I was used to those early morning phone calls, and I would find myself on the way to work about to call him after he passed away, and that was hard. But so the reason I'm on injury now is because I got injured in a match. I hurt my back, and once I got injured, it led me to that's when more depression and anxiety set in, and that's why I push for mental health so hard. Like I'm just trying to keep the good vibes and everything. So,
Do you remember the last time you spoke with your dad?
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. It wasn't about wrestling, it was about football. he was he was a he liked it was weird. I don't know why, but he liked Tom Brady in football because he had just won his was it his second or third Super Bowl, maybe? I don't remember. But he texted me about that, and that was the last time I remember actually like talking to him. Um, but yeah, it wasn't about wrestling, which is weird. I thought it would always be about wrestling, but it wasn't.
And when you found out, I mean, he had passed away, that's
Oh yeah.
devastating.
Oh yeah. It was tough. It was something that I lived with forever, and it's one of those things like now um I came up with this thing a while back. I don't know if it's something I came up with or something I just thought of, but as I said, how did I word it? Is forgetting the same as um accepting. Like I accept that he's gone now, but I don't want to forget him. And it's one of those things as well that I'll obviously never forget him. So it's easier now to accept that he's gone versus I guess I never fully wanted to accept that he was gone. And it was really hard to talk about him. Like if you had tried to have this conversation with me a year and a half, 2 years ago, I would not have been able to have this conversation without breaking down probably. And now it's way easier to talk about him. Like it's gotten it's gotten super easier and easier to talk about as the time has gone by.
How about mom?
Mom's good. Mom's also my number one fan. she keeps asking me when I'm going to go back because she's ready to go back to shows. She was at most of the shows that were definitely in town and driving distance. But if she wasn't at shows, my wife now she records them and sends them to her or FaceTimes her while I'm wrestling and things like that. But mom is also better. Like same thing. If you had tried to talk to her a year and a half, 2 years ago, she wouldn't have been able to talk about my dad.
What does your mom think about you deciding to pursue a career in wrestling after she had like was against you watching it?
So I think she accepted that I was watching it when I did. But when I told both my mom and my dad that um I think I've been training for wrestling, they were like, "Yeah, right." Because I wasn't an athlete in school. Like I wasn't. I was just in high school. I was a everything club. Like I had friends in band. I had friends that were sports people. I had fans that were in choir. I had friends that were in every group. I can't even think of groups in high school right now. But so I didn't. I was just a. I migrated to each group. Like if I went to lunch, I would sit with certain friends. So like I wasn't an athlete. I was a let's get high school over with kind of kid. And so when I told them I was trying out for wrestling, they were like, "Yeah, right." And then I did it. They came to my first match and they were like, "Okay." And so they loved it. And me and my mom, there's a picture of me and my mom somewhere. As soon as I won my first title, the tag titles, obviously dedicated that match to my dad. There's a picture of me running up, hugging my mom, and we're both in tears. You know, both of us are crying because she knew my dad would be so excited that I just won my first belt because he never got to see me win a title. And so that was really hard for that moment. But for having mom there and sharing that moment with my mom, and then I had a off script moment. I mean, I guess you could call it where as soon as we won the titles, we were celebrating back in the ring. We were about to get out, but I kind of pushed my partner away. I didn't mean to push him, but I think I was in my head and I dropped to a knee and, looked up. Like there's a picture of me like pointing up, obviously for my dad. So it
Yeah,
was a cool moment.
it's such a heartwarming memory to have, because your dad was a big fan of wrestling. You got into it through your dad,
Yep.
and here you are now, living your dream, getting the chance to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
Um, why don't we talk about the subject of mental health and depression because those are very serious subjects, and you've talked about throughout the podcast about your struggles and your journey
Mhm.
to where you are today. What are some things that you have been able to do to cope with having these things? Taking, offsetting, some of the
Mhm.
anxiety and depression, because I know some people have different, go-to ways of decompressing through a lot of these things.
Yeah. Talking to somebody. My wife is my best friend. I will talk to her anytime I feel like I'm having a panic attack. Because panic attacks are new to me. Like those are something I just got within the year of being injured and everything like that. So, talking to her is one of my biggest things. Writing, journaling is a huge one. Somebody suggested that to me. Um, about a year ago. Like I feel like everything's about a year ago. But somebody suggested writing your thoughts because I don't sleep at night. I still don't sleep very well at night. Sleep is very rare for me in a sense. So they said journal your thoughts before you go to bed, and I was like, what do I write about? And they said just write about your day. Just write about what happened, how you felt, how your day went, how it's going, and I just started journaling. Journaling is a big thing, but talking is a huge one. Like, don't ever keep anything bottled up inside. Like, don't let it get too bad, to where you explode. Always talk to somebody. That's the biggest thing. If I had to pitch that to anybody, just talk to somebody. Reach out. Anybody will listen to your story. Everybody has a story. Everybody goes through something. Just talk to somebody. That's my biggest thing.
Exactly. And somebody I'm sure would be willing to hear what you're going through so that
Hmm.
they may have some answers and solutions so that you can feel better through a lot of, and get rid of all the negativity and sadness, or reduce the amount of sadness.
Right. It's just so um one of the biggest things that I do that was hard for me, back to my dad for just a second, is like on my wrist tape, I would always write dad on my arm. And somebody asked me one time, they were like, "Is that not hard to do?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, 100%. Every time I write it, it's really hard to write my dad, like write dad on there." Um, but it's something I want to do. Like I did wrestling for him. Like he got me into it. Like I felt like I owe him at this point. And so like I felt like that was a really courageous type thing to do, to push through the mental health part, like to just kind of keep the legacy going on, keep the good vibes, like just, I don't
Exactly.
know.
Now you're on the injured list right now, but
Hmm.
over time, since you've been in the ring, who are some people that you would say that you've enjoyed being in the ring with, and who are some people that you would like to be in the ring with?
Oh man. So I've been making a list since I've been injured. So I'm currently doing commentary for a company in Middleton, Tennessee called MIW. I'm joined by Ken Alexander. He's really great on commentary. He does commentary for MIW and UCW, which is in Union City. Some of the people, my biggest match to date would be Marco Stunt. I got to wrestle Marco Stunt when I worked for EPW, which is in Boonville, Mississippi. Um, that was crazy. I did not expect to ever work him. I uh, found out by them posting the poster. I was at work, and one of my buddies messaged me and he said, "Holy crap, you know who you're working at the show?" And I said, no. And he said, "Check Facebook right now." And I checked Facebook and it was Perky Will versus Marco Stunt. And I was like, "Is this real life?" So that was really cool. But a lot of up and coming talents. I would have to shout out my trainer and former tag team partner, Jason Genesis. He's always been great. Um, he's carrying on. He turned on me, but we won't talk about that. He's still, you know, he's living the hill life right now. Marco Harris is a big one. He's doing a lot of me and him have had a big feud. Um, he has worked for Memphis Wrestling, New Age Memphis Wrestling. He's doing a lot of stuff there. He does a lot of stuff for EPW. At one point he was holding three belts. He was champion for three different promotions. Like that kid's a star. He's definitely going to go places for sure. Um, Isaiah Cohn is a big one. I never shared the ring with him. He's on my list. I would love a one-on-one with him when I come back. He's a big one doing for EPW and MIW as well. Um, man, who's on my list now? I got to think of that. Those are my top threes right now for independent for sure.
Yeah. What is like your ultimate goal in the wrestling business? Where do you see yourself heading?
Man, I'm a realist. I know I'm too old to make it to um WWE, AEW, NWA was our dream, everybody's dream. My buddy Jason, who was my former tag team partner, he's my best friend still. He We're the same age. We're legit a month and a day apart. So like it was meant for us to be best friends. I always say that. But I said he like we always knew we got in it too late. He got in it a year before me. So he's been in it 6 years. I've been in it 5. Um, we're just doing it we each have our own reasons why we're doing it. We're doing it for the love of wrestling and we're doing it for the compassion, I guess, is like I'm carrying on for my dad. Like that's why I don't want to give it up, even though I'm injured. That's why I'm still doing commentary. That's why I'm still helping like kind of promote shows and promote some of my boys and just the ultimate goal is just to make people happy, make people smile. Um, you know, being an independent wrestler in West Tennessee is cool, especially when you don't realize how well you're doing until you're out to dinner with your mom and your wife, and this little girl walks up to you and says, "Perky, can I take a picture with you, or can I give you a hug?" Like that happened, and never expected that to happen to me. You know, I get recognized all the time at work, like, or not all the time at work. I used to at work, where people would be like, "Aren't you Perky?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then they're like, "When are you coming back? When you coming back?" And I'm like, I'm trying, like I don't have a distinguished date. Like it's just one of those, like, I'm not giving up on it. If I find out I can't wrestle anymore, I'll still be a part of shows somehow, some way. It's just something I can't give up on yet, and it's
No.
something I don't want to give up on. It's
No.
it holds too much of a special place in my heart to give up on.
And I think it's cool that there's different roles in the wrestling business to play. It's not just being a competitor. You can be a referee, you
Hmm.
can be a manager, commentator, announcer, and so the sky's the limit.
Oh yeah.
So, but I think that's amazing. You've been able to have such an
Mm.
incredible career so far. I want to say thank you so much for coming on to Wrestling with
Thank you.
Heart. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find out more about you on social media? And if there's anything you want to plug, feel free.
I'm not super big on the plugs, but you can find me on Facebook at Perky Will, Instagram Perky_Will, um, and TikTok is Perky Will too. Still trying to grow on all those. I'm super humble. If you ever want to come have a conversation, I'm always free to have a conversation. Reach out. If you're struggling, I'll be your ear to listen to.
Absolutely. Thanks
I
again.
appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely, man. And you're more than welcome to come back.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.